Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, listeners from across Canada. This is the Truth About Real Estate Investing show, and I am Erwin Szeto. I may sound a little hoarse, but I'm not sick. I've actually been choked too much as a practitioner, a very poor practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So please bear with my voice. Before we get started with our interview, I wanted to talk about the lengths that we go to for our kids. This past Sunday, my wife Cherry planned a half-day event for us to ride Thomas the Train. No idea who I'm talking about? That's okay. He's a crazy popular cartoon character who is a train, and for $25 a person, you can ride the train that he pulls. The price is fine. It's the distance I had a problem with. This was in Oxbridge, Ontario, which is 122 kilometers away from home. And I, of course, brilliantly left my driver's license at home, my entire wallet. So anyways, it was far. I thought Oxbridge was far when I used to live in Markham, and it's even farther when you live in Burlington. The kids loved it. They really loved it. The event was well organized and planned. It was great value. We boarded the train on time. Everything was on time. There was plenty of free parking. There was tons of stuff to do for kids, including a bouncy castle, coloring, a mini train to ride for kids, kids only, a traveling zoo, face paint. The kids and their cousins all had a great time. So kudos to my wife for planning the event. Now, what won't we do for our kids? Often I don't know what the answer is, but I do remember sometimes and often because this is Canada. Our national sport isn't hockey, but it really is hockey. In reality, it is hockey. But I'm not signing up my kids for hockey. My kids will play indoor sports in the winter. Basketball, volleyball, anything that's not on the ice for my family. They'll learn. I'll teach them to skate, because I believe that's an important life skill for any Canadian, along with swimming. But no thank you to those 6 a.m. practices on the ice. Before we get started with our guest, we have some quick announcements to make. Our speakers for the September Halton REI meeting at the Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario. We have Greg Kowalczyk coming. He's an old friend of mine. He's been a client of Rockstar for a while, and I've known him since roughly the time he started there, which has been 4 years probably. About 3 years ago, he started an e-commerce and Amazon business. So he's a vendor. So, when you go on Amazon, like I do, very dangerous to have the app on your phone and you just buy with the click of a button. Very dangerous. Anyways, there's someone on the other side of that transaction. Sometimes that's Greg. And so he started this business around 3 years ago, roughly. And since then, he's now grossing somewhere over 6 figures a month. And it all started actually as a business idea. And then also his daughter was graduating university. So it was something that he wanted to partner up with her so that she could start a career right away out of school, something that would provide a good living for her. Our other speaker is John Romanis. So he's famous for being on our podcast. He was our guest for the episode, 7 years and $800,000 in return. Not bad. Making $800,000 return in your sleep. He's a really smart guy. He has his MBA, his CMA. He's a director at, I believe, the world's 4th largest coffee company in the world. So he's a really smart guy. He manages like lots and lots of people. And for fun, he actually instructs business courses at Sheridan College in the Brampton campus. But anyways, smart guy. He's got lots of properties. He wanted to share how he's reading demographic data and the housing market in order to determine what he's going to do to renovate his properties and what he's going to charge for rents. So very applicable stuff to all of our businesses, all of our real estate businesses. So it's not something you want to miss. And if you want to be a part of it, get on the invite list. The website is truthaboutrrealestateinvesting.ca/meeting. And again, the notes are always on my website, which is truthaboutrrealestateinvesting.ca. And if you want to get on the invite list, truthaboutrrealestateinvesting.ca/meeting. So on to today's guest, R.W.Carr. The bearish R.W.Carr is back on the show to share out his latest investment, a 250 square foot house. That's right, a whole house, 250 square feet. That may be smaller than many of your master bedrooms in your homes. Sadly, that's the reality of today's housing market. On a recent vacancy of mine that we just filled last night, we signed 4 lovely young adults to our single-family detached home in St. Catharines, Ontario. In this market where vacancy is low and rents are unaffordable to many, this tends to be now the reality where people are having to share a rental house. So again, these young adults we signed, they're willing to do just that. But the applicants that we didn't accept, often they were just couples who couldn't afford the rent. To them, I would highly recommend they find some friends and share a house together. Four adults who make a combined total of $8,000 a month can afford a lot of places versus, say, just two adults who make a combined total of $4,000. This, I believe, will be a reality going forward for it'll be a bigger story. I think it's already a current reality that's not talked about, but it'll be even bigger reality in many of our major markets like Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, where people just have to share houses because it's just getting too expensive. Anyways, Ryan is becoming a regular guest of ours. So this is his third or fourth time on the show. He invests in the far east areas of Toronto, well east of Toronto, like Oshawa. And the markets where he invests, they're behaving differently than what we're seeing in the west side and differently than what I'm seeing in Toronto. So we'd love to have guests like him on so we can hear their perspective and how they invest in their markets. And I always appreciate to hear what creative ways Ryan is implementing to make money in real estate. So again, tiny house. Let's hear what Ryan has to say. So without further ado, I give you R.W.Carr. What's this business for the tiny house?
I purchased a property last year. I think it was like December 2017, maybe earlier this year, within the last 6 months anyways. And I bought this house and it was on a 70 some odd foot lot. And on this 70 foot lot was a normal single family home. And then also this little baby house kind of in the back corner. And I thought, this is interesting. So I'm looking at the way that title is read, right? And the legal description for title is always a bunch of characters long. So I'm looking at the way that this is read, and judging by what I saw in the title description, these were actually whole lots at one time. So I went to pull title and I went to look at the plan of subdivision from like back in the early 1900s because this property and particular parcel is so old. And I realized that these were actually two separate lots at one time. And when I purchased it, I could actually take possession as two separate lots. So when I bought one house, I actually ended up with two.
Score.
Yeah.
So for listeners who don't understand, how much value do you think you just gained by being able to acquire it as two properties versus one? Even though it's the same, it's the same
yeah.
whatever entity that you're buying.
Yes.
But instead of one, you can it's already divided into two.
Yeah. Well, think of it this way. So you buy a farm, right? The farm might be worth X number of dollars, and you cut that farm up into a number of different properties. Well, by the time you work that back and send it out to market, right? Each particular parcel has livable land value, right? So when you're cutting up a farm, the farm had livable land value, but that was for one person. Well, now you've multiplied that into 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 100 different parcels. So in this case, it's the exact same thing: buy by the acre and sell by the foot. So I purchased a lot for what one lot was worth, but in actual fact, it contained double.
Are you able to share numbers?
I haven't sold anything yet.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what the tiny house is going to sell for.
Can you share what you paid? Can you share what you bought? Yeah, what you paid for the property?
I paid $350 for the property.
Yeah. And
that contained two really rough houses. So when they both sell, I'll be very, very interested to see exactly how this crunches down and how it all looks. We're having a hard time appraising it because we don't know, like obviously raw land has a certain intrinsic value just based on the dirt, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know what the house is worth on this land because nothing this small has ever been sold in our market, ever.
How small?
253 square feet. like Erwin, people have bathrooms bigger than this whole house. It's hilarious. It's like a Winnebago. It's so small.
Is that how big a Winnebago is?
Awesome. Well, this thing's like 11 by 12 by 17 or so, something like that, off memory.
Wow. Where can people find pictures and stuff, or video, or
Facebook? Facebook's the best place to go.
Okay. Facebook, R.W.Carr.
R.W.Carr or R.W.Carr Investment.
Which one's better? I'm looking at it now. I'm trying to find it now.
Yeah, I'm trying to transfer more over to the R.W.Carr Investment page, but currently there's probably more content on my R.W.Carr personal page. So like me as a friend, and you'll see all that stuff.
What if they don't like you though?
That sucks. It sucks for me. I have no friends, I guess.
Oh, no, you gotta scroll past the coach house and then pictures of our mastermind stuffs and.
Yeah, there's lots of content. So whatever project we're working on at the time, In this case, right now, we got the coach house on the go, which we talked about a couple of weeks back. We got some apartment building stuff and the tiny house and all kinds of different stuff. But right now, the tiny house is where the boys are working, where my crew's working, and we try to get as many pictures up as we can.
So what are you doing to it? Is it cosmetic? You doing anything crazy?
Anything
second
crazy?
Suite?
No.
Vertical suite?
No. We can't second suite the tiny house. No, it's like I said, the property is 253 square feet. So we're like, okay, what can we do in this footprint? Because we can't expand, we can't change it, we can't do anything to touch it because it's in a conservation zoned area. So basically, we're landlocked. We can't do anything with it other than, this is our four walls, make it look pretty. So we're doing a lot of cosmetics, kitchen, bath, flooring, paint. We've done some new wiring. There was a loft at one time in the attic, found a window up in the attic, and the window used to open. There was a little ledge up there, so we redid the loft to make it look pretty. There was a bathroom, obviously, in the house, so we kept the same layout of the kitchen and bath, actually, and it kept the same layout and just put all new modern finishings in it to make sure that it shows the way a modern house should.
So would the interior be any different than like an RV? I'm trying to help people paint a mental picture with words.
Yeah. So, so for the average person that lives in a reasonably new house, you've probably got a good sized master bedroom. If you think of the master bedroom as the size of this whole house, that's the footprint that we're working with. So 250 square feet, I think it's roughly 11 or 12 by 17, but it's basically a bachelor apartment in a detached house's body, right? So everything we have in this thing is apartment size. So we've got apartment size fridge and stove, which are 24-inch. We have an apartment size washer dryer, which is super cool. It's actually a unit that's all in one. So the washer and the dryer are the same within this little cube. We've got a stand-up shower, pedestal sink, stuff like this to save space. Everything that we've done it's got a multi-function purpose, right? So, like the washer dryer, for example, you wouldn't see that in modern construction. You'd see stackables or the side-by-sides. But in this case, we're like, okay, we have a closet that's, only so big. What can we use in this closet to maximize, or what can we do in this closet to maximize the space and the functionality of the property? So in this case, on the bottom of the closet is a little 20-inch baby hot water tank. And up above that is the all-in-one washer-dryer combo unit.
That's awesome. So the washer dryer, does it actually heat the clothes to dry, or is it just spins?
I think it does both. So I think there's a very mild heat cycle to it. It also spins and it does the wash and the whole bit. But I think the magic for this particular washer dryer, because it is ventless,
it's uninvented.
Yeah, it's uninvented. So it'll use the cold water. It will chill the humidity in the air, and it will pump out almost like dew on grass. It'll pump out the moisture into the water drain and get rid of the moisture that way. Yeah. Did
you know any of this stuff going in?
I had seen them one time.
Okay.
And I started researching it a little bit more because I'm not a tiny house buff. I don't really know a lot about the tiny house community or the Winnebago community or like anything like this, or I didn't anyways up until a couple months ago when we bought this place. And I'm like, damn, I got to learn. So I popped on Google and you see what other people are doing. And there's some people building some really badass tiny houses. The only difference with them is that they're on wheels or on a trailer, and ours is a permanently fixed home.
Right. Your loft. So do you have stairs going to it? Is that like where the bedroom will be, if you can call it a bedroom?
Yeah. So the loft is about a 4.5 foot ceiling, and it's a pitched roof. So there's a ladder. There's a ladder going up to it with the guard up on top, so you don't fall out of the loft. But it's just a ladder, so it wouldn't be an official staircase.
And then what would the use be? Would they put a mattress up there, or?
You could. You could use it as like a book nook or storage or sleeping quarters or anything like that. We've put plugs up there. We've got a light switch up there so you can control the lights. You've got a USB plug right on the outlet built into the wall so that it's kind of tech ready. We're trying to think about the way that people are going to be using this space and the way that it's going to be lived in. And then you map backwards based on that. So
I finally found a video on your Facebook for the tiny house.
Oh, yeah?
You don't actually show the house, though. So I'll keep digging. So for listeners who want to actually see it, I'll post links when I can find it. Any guesses what you're going to sell it for?
I'm guessing somewhere around 200.
Holy cow.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the tough part. Like tiny houses right now on a trailer are selling for somewhere between 50 and 90,000. So, I mean, you work that back and you're like, damn, this is actually a real house
Eh,
on dirt,
on dirt, yeah.
with the tax roll number and the whole bit. What's that worth? Don't know. We're going to find out.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Any other details you can share? Did you were getting media attention? Why were you getting media attention? And then did anything happen from it?
So CTV News was supposed to come out 2 weeks ago. Consequently, the night before they were supposed to come out, we had booked this like 2 months in advance. They canceled. They said, "Hey, when the property sells, give us a call back and we'll come." I'm like, "Okay."
Right. They want to know the dollar. They want to know the dollar. That's
I guess.
Why.
Yeah, they want the full story. But today, actually, we had city council out to the property in Oshawa. So the mayor was there. Some councillors were there.
The mayor came.
Yeah. The mayor came. I wonder. I was going to say, is this? I know, like you and I are chatting on video, but does it go up on video onto your podcast ever, or is it straight audio?
It will get up to YouTube eventually.
At some point. Okay. Cool. So, anyways, I got like this really cool certificate saying like this is the first tiny house in Oshawa. 253 square feet. Da 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 da. I don't have it with me. I was going to show you, but what I'll do is I can take a picture of it, like holding it. Yeah. And then we got a picture with city council out in front of the house, and we're all standing there and shaking hands and stuff. And it was a really cool experience to see all the councillors come through and see what it is that we're doing, because from time to time they do come and keep tabs on some of our vertical split projects, or in this case the tiny house and so on. But this one's the first of its kind. And the mayor was super pumped, man. He was like, "Wow, this is so cool. Follow the tiny house movement. I really like this.
Mm-hmm.
This is really cool what you guys are doing. Keep me in the loop." So, if I get the opportunity to do it again, and if this one goes well, I would love to do so.
Why was the city so interested?
It's unique. Anything that's unique is kind of on the forefront of the city of Oshawa's mind. They got a bad reputation in the past for being a factory town, right? Almost like a little Detroit. And the fact is, they're actually a very progressive city with respect to, making sure that we're doing new projects and getting the financing in place and making sure the infrastructure is there to grow and Go Transit and Lake Ridge Health and all of these wonderful things. 407 education. We got a bunch of universities here now, colleges. Like, we're growing like crazy. And on the commercial side, that's really cool. They also want to see it on the residential side to densify, just like every other town in the GTA. But they're active about it and they're vocal. And when they see something like this come to fruition, anything that they can do to help and come out and see the projects and promote, they love to do so. So it's pretty cool to see.
What are they doing to help?
Right now, it's just word of mouth. So, I mean, they came out, they said, "We want to come and check out this place. We want to see what you're doing." And I said to them, "Hey, there could be some opportunities in the future for us to do developments like this. What are your thoughts on that?" And he said, "Put together a proposal. Let's run it up the flagpole and see what everybody else's take on it is."
Right.
I mean, he had some ideas of his own today that were really interesting to hear, that might come to light in the future. So we'll see how it goes. We're at the very first rung of the ladder on this one.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
In Hamilton, the city either has or they're very close to passing bylaws allowing for laneway houses.
Yes.
Every municipality in the GTA has this issue where they don't have enough housing. So the way demographics go, a lot of people don't really care for larger backyards. So there's opportunity for people to create housing in their backyards, specifically laneways in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
But how does someone access this tiny house? Like driveway, I mean.
It's got road frontage.
It's how far is it from the road?
Yeah. So in this case, it's set back maybe 50 feet.
Okay, not bad.
From the road, which is probably double, what's considered normal as a setback. Like a typical setback's between 5 and 8 meters. This one's probably 15 meters. So It's got a smaller backyard and a bigger front yard.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's got road frontage. It's got a brand new driveway. It's all paved. It's got a nice deck. I mean, it's just it's a little baby house. Just somebody stuck it in the dryer and shrunk it down.
And it had all services already connected to it when you found it?
Yeah, man, that's the coolest thing about this is that,
that makes
because
it easy.
The house is so because the house is so small, as far as I know, and don't quote me on this, but I think the minimum square footage for a house, a standalone house under the Ontario Building Code is 400 square feet. And this is less than that. So because it was serviced way back in the day and it was built maybe, we're assuming in the 1940s, and I can tell you a story about that in a minute. It sort of bypassed and skirted a number of the modern zoning rules that you would typically see for new construction.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the city's interested in it, I wonder if they will allow it. More tiny houses.
Don't know. Because I'd love to see a tiny house development or you can plunk 3 or 4 of these things on a lot. Service them all with a single trench that you put all of the different services in, maybe common laneways, stuff like this.
Right.
There's a number of different ways that we can take it. It's just a matter of zoning, I think, at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Do you know what a bachelor goes for in Oshawa?
Like a bachelor rental?
Bachelor apartment.
I don't know. Maybe like a bachelor condo or something.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess at least a couple $100,000.
Yeah. And yours is 200.
Sure, that's a good idea. I should look into that.
Yeah, that's your
bachelor condos.
That's your best comparable, but it's still not the same. You get land.
I know. There's
this
no
is
dirt.
Wacky. I don't know. Maybe you should go 300. I don't know. Do some do some comparisons to see compare it to a bachelor.
Yeah.
You're a little bit smaller, but again, you have land.
Yeah, but then it's finished beautifully. It looks it looks smoking, right? We'll put some pictures up with some progress pictures. Like the whole facade of the home is in stone. There's a nice brown deck off to the side, and everything inside's all modern finishes with vinyl click flooring and shaker style cabinets and stainless appliances. Like it's nice.
Can you ask your assistant to post more pictures to your R.W.Carr Facebook page or something?
I will do that for you.
Just for me.
Yeah.
You said you had a story to share?
Oh yeah, we were talking about age and zoning and stuff like that. So back when we were doing the demolition on this property, we were pulling up the old floors. And, over the years, floors start to sag and things start to move. So I guess every time somebody had renovated and put a new layer of flooring, they would shim it up with whatever they had, cardboard, newspaper, whatever, right? In this case, it was newspaper. So we're peeling back layers of floor. We're like, oh my God, we're filling garbage bags with all this stuff. And we found a newspaper on the very last layer of flooring from 1942. So all World War II. Yeah, World War II. World War II era. Really cool to see the stuff. We actually kept it. We were able to save it. We're going to frame it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything, is it?
The newspaper? I don't know. I just think it's a really cool piece. Maybe we'll hang it in the house kind of as a tribute to what the property wants.
The capitalist in me wants you to put it on eBay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I give a lot to charity, okay, listeners, so don't be mad at me for dumping on Ryan's idea to be doing something cool with the house. Very cool. I'm just thinking, like, is there any chance you can reproduce this? Because this is like you stumbled on a whole bucket of money that you didn't know about. It's like finding gold bricks in a house.
That would have been fantastic. Yeah. It's cool. The concept is fantastic. I really like the idea of having detached living quarters, very similar to the coach house episode that you and I just did last week, where basically what we have here, if you stand and look from the street, you've got the main house off to one side, and then you've got, in this case, the tiny house off to the other. That similar thing is almost identical to the coach house. We've got a coach house. We've got a tiny house. It's the same. It's 100% one and the same. It just comes down to zoning. Is this on its own lot or is it on the same? If it's on its own lot, it's a tiny house. If it's on the same lot, it's a coach house.
Can you explain, I don't know if you know the answer, but can you explain why this property is okay to exist even though it doesn't fit Ontario Buildings Code for like square footage wise?
Yeah, it's been grandfathered. So in Hamilton, for example, you guys have a lot of older housing, just like we do in Oshawa, where stairways are maybe only 2 feet wide or 2.5 feet wide, right? Yeah. Those were built back in the days when that was standard practice. Now you got to have a minimum of 3 feet wide and all the rest of it, right? But those stairs are okay to exist if you don't mess with it. Right. In this case, with the tiny house, this thing was built way back in the day. It was already there. Right? All we did was pretty it up. So I wanted to take it down, but I couldn't. They wouldn't let me. Right. So I said, okay, what do we do to this thing to make it cute and charming and make it look good? So that's what we did.
What were you thinking about if you were taking it down?
Build a duplex, probably a 2-unit home on a 30 or 35-foot lot.
Right. Sorry, what's the lot size for the tiny house?
I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's around 30 to 35 feet.
So is that the frontage or
the frontage is 30 to 35 and the depth is about 110.
Right.
I think. It's a standard lot
size.
Yeah.
The lot looks massive with the house on it.
It does.
The pictures will look hilarious.
Dude, you pull up on the street, right? And you can see the facade of the house and it's all done in stone with new windows and we've done the gardens all really nice. and it's set way back like this palatial estate. And then you get up closer to it and you're like, hey, well, there's only 250 square feet. Where's the rest of the house, right?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
You can make this quite the media event for the open house if you wanted to.
I'd love to blow it up. I really would. I want to share it. I want people to come through. I want people to feel it and experience it and touch and feel and see. Because the more exposure that we can get out there for whether it's coach houses or tiny houses or a new format of living, I think it's going to open up a number of different business models, provided the finances work the way that they should. It's opportunity for sure.
Have you had a lender look at it yet? Is financing going to be a problem on this?
I started working on that today, actually. So we just put a few feelers out to some different lending institutions, asking them, what's your minimum square footage? Are you going to do this based on appraisal, based on purchase price? How are you guys going to view this property when a buyer does eventually come through if we decide to sell it?
Very cool. And then what are you doing with the main building that main building, Big Brother house on the property? I don't know what you call it.
That property there, actually, we cleaned up and we flipped that as well. It was another cosmetic reno. So we did all the gardens, all the interior, kitchen, bath, flooring, paint, touched up the utility rooms and put all new fixtures in it and stuff like this to make it show well.
Did you sell it already? Or you're gonna sell it soon?
Yeah. So here's a funny story. So this is completely unrelated to the tiny house, but that property actually sold about a month ago.
Oh, cool.
And which is great, right? And the buyer put the deposit down, standard purchase and sale agreement. It was on the MLS. And basically, come closing day, the buyer said, we've had some family issues. We need a couple-day extension. We're like, okay, well, that sucks, but whatever, no big deal. We'll accommodate that. So we gave them the couple-day extension. And after the couple-day extension was up, they disappeared. Like, they vanished. Like, gone. The lawyer couldn't find them. The mortgage broker couldn't find them. The realtor couldn't find them. They had to go back to another country for a family issue, so they say, right? And that sucks because nobody could get in touch with these people. And now we've got a house that's kind of sitting in limbo that as of yesterday, if they got the official letters saying, like, if you don't come and buy the house, like, it's going to be a legal proceeding. So anyway, now we got to put it back up on the market. We got to go and do all the gardens again. We got to restage it. It's the first one that I've ever had that didn't close.
Wow. I haven't heard one of these in a while. Like years. I haven't heard one of these in years where the buyer disappears.
Yeah.
When is the tiny house available for sale?
I think we'll have it done in the next couple of weeks. What I do with it after we're complete, whether we do some open houses or whether we do some media presence, is still yet to be seen. But otherwise, if it does go up for sale, it'll be September.
Very cool. Yeah, if you can hold off, market them at the same time. I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm just thinking off the cuff. If it's a good thing to have them on sale at the same time, possibly double the traffic.
Yeah. Behind door number 1. Behind door number 2. Yeah.
Very cool. So I can't help but ask, how come the decision to list on MLS? Because I know you try to buy off MLS as much as you can.
It's true. That's actually how I've worked my business model from day one. I buy private and I sell on the MLS. I'm a big believer in supporting realtors, but it's got to be the right time. So when you buy on the MLS, another realtor is working on the seller's behalf to make sure that they get the best bang for their buck, right? And when you're buying, that isn't always the case because they have good representation and they want to keep the purchase price as high as possible, and you're trying to get at the opposite. So I buy privately because I feel that I can negotiate directly with sellers a little bit better than I can purchase on the MLS. But consequently, when you take a property to your realtor, because they're working on your behalf and because they're taking it to market, they're going to get the most amount of traffic for you. They're going to field all the phone calls. They're going to do all the back end work to make sure that you do get the best marketed sale price that you can get for that property. So I'm a firm believer in paying your realtor well to do what they do. And as long as they're producing for you, keep supporting them wherever you can.
Very cool. All right. That's half an hour. That's kind of where I want it to be, but I can't believe that you dropped that bomb on me though. Your buyer disappeared.
It disappeared, man.
Yeah, it's not common. It doesn't happen often.
It's rare. It's rare. But you know what? Like, you've transacted a ton of deals. I've transacted a ton. Like, these things, law of averages says, like, after so many deals, something weird is going to happen. In this case, this is the weird thing. There'll be something else on the next deal, and something else on the deal after that. But
Yeah.
it was bound to happen. It surprises me in a sense that it did in fact come to fruition, but it doesn't surprise me in the sense that, you know what, real estate is still the human nature business and things do still happen. And when you're doing volume, this kind of stuff goes on.
Yeah. Bonkers. So
Yeah.
it's just rude as well to not say anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was real flexible too. Like, I was, you try to be good with people just in general, just in life, right? You just try to be good with people. If they just had said, look, we need another 2 weeks. This is what's going on. I'm really sorry. Maybe we can help carry the property for the next couple of weeks while you're hanging on to it. Like, totally okay with that. Happy to help people, especially if you got a family situation like that. But when you just up at Houdini, that's kind of shitty.
Any idea if they're coming back to Canada? Because I'm just wondering how do you sue them if they don't come back? Yeah,
well, I mean, there's a legal process you got to go through. You check for other assets, you check for mailing addresses and all this stuff, and you start sending letters, and that's what lawyers do. I mean, they start looking for things. And to be honest, today is kind of like day one of the process. So they didn't come through yesterday, and that was their final cutoff day. So moving forward, we'll find out exactly how to proceed.
Okay. And for the listeners' benefit, these buyers have a contractual agreement to follow through on the deal, and now they are now liable for Ryan's expenses to resell the property. So commissions, the gardening expenses you talked about, staging, all those additional expenses that Ryan has to spend. The buyer, now the failed buyer, is legally liable for those expenses, and also any sort of delta in sale price that Ryan's able to sell the property for. So. Yeah, didn't expect. I didn't know that was
maybe
happening. We'll
get more money, and we don't want to have to go through the whole rigmarole. You never know, right?
That'd be good.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah. Everybody's clean. Everybody's happy.
All right, very cool. All right, thanks again for doing this, Ryan. I don't want to take too much of your time. Are you local to the Greater Toronto Hamilton area? Are you interested in becoming a real estate investor, earning extra income in your sleep without getting calls from tenants or unplugging toilets? Then please join us live and in person at the Halton Real Estate Investors Group meetings at the prestigious Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario. Our meetings are catered to both seasoned and novice investors to share and educate the fundamentals and truths about real estate investing so you too can earn seven-figure net worth like our clients and guests of the show. How great it would be to be financially free, to take more time off with your family, retire earlier and more comfortably, or to support your favorite charity. If this is of interest to you, then get on the invite list at www.truthaboutreinvesting.ca/meeting. The host of the meeting is yours truly, Erwin Szeto, that's me, aka four-time winner of the Real Estate Agent of the Year to investors for the years 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. Results are not guaranteed, but our investor clients who've been with us since 2012 are earning over 400% returns on cash flowing investment property. So come check us out as soon as you can. Due to Ontario Fire Code regulations, we can only have so many attendees, and we have been waitlisted in the past, so don't wait to register at www.truthaboutreinvesting.ca/meeting.